Here it is played to the metronome at 176 as 16th notes up to speed. To break this down, we're using the exact same pattern as the exercise. In other words, 4 notes ascending and 4 notes descending, and then doing the same thing starting on the pinky, except I just changed the notes. We start on E, and we're playing a power chord, E, and then the 5th B, and then we're doubling that, E and B. And for the reverse, we're playing an A diminished 7th chord, starting on F sharp and descending to A. F sharp, E flat, C, and A. Then we're going down a minor 3rd, and we're doing an F sharp diminished 7th. So we have F sharp, A, C natural, and E flat, which is actually the same thing as an A diminished 7th in another inversion. And for the reverse, we're playing a D flat power chord, which is D flat and the 5th A flat. But we're starting on the A flat and descending. And to finish it up, we're doing the original exercise. Which ends us up on E flat, a half step away, to start over again. Here's one more sweep picking exercise. This one's applied to arpeggios. Let me demonstrate it for you slowly. This pattern is based off a major arpeggio, so let's go through the different arpeggios and the chords that they come from. First one is D, coming from this chord fingering, with an added 5th, A. The second one is F sharp, based off of an F sharp bar chord, with an added 3rd. The next one is E major, based off of this chord form, once again with an added 5th. And the last one is A major, based off of this bar chord with an added 3rd. Starting with D, the picking goes down, 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 down. When you get to the A, that's when you're going to reverse and play an upstroke and pull off to the F sharp. And then the rest of the arpeggio is descending using all upstrokes. Remember to separate the notes, you're not playing a chord. When you get to the next arpeggio, F sharp, you're still continuing with an up. In fact, you can almost consider it the 3rd of the D arpeggio. So you're kind of finishing up the D arpeggio. Because after that, we're going to repeat the F sharp and start with a downstroke and outline the F sharp major arpeggio. Down, 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 and then up on the A sharp. Pull off to the F sharp and continue all consecutive upstrokes to finish off the arpeggio. So from the D to the F sharp, it sounds like this. Then we're going to move up to G sharp, which is the 3rd of E, and basically we're going to follow the same exact pattern. So starting with a down, reverse at the top where the 5th is, do a pull-off, and come back down using all ups. Repeat the third of the chord, which is G sharp, and then move up a half step and play the A major arpeggio the same way. And that's it. Here it is up to tempo. The majority of our writing process is together as a band. Somebody usually has a progression or groove or an idea, and they bring that in, and it's basically, we just jam on it. We set the tape recorder and just kind of go for it, and out of those jams some solid ideas start to happen, and we start working on arrangements, and before you know it, we have a song.
Do you write lyrics yourself at all?
Yes, I write lyrics, and I'm really interested in lyric and melody and how that contributes to the song, you know, the real importance of the lyrics and the melody and the vocalist. The cool thing is that all of us were basically influenced by the same bands, and a lot of them happen to be progressive, like Rush and Yes and the Dregs and Genesis and even Zappa's music. So when we all got together at Berkeley, it just kind of naturally came out, this type of music in Odd Times, and even you know, using the harmony that was a little bit more experimental or creative and whatnot. And it was just kind of a natural direction for us all. We've been focusing in a lot on developing techniques for soloing and chop building, but let's switch gears now and concentrate on building your chord vocabulary. What we're going to do is we're going to take the ever-faithful power chord, by adding certain notes to these chords, we're going to mutate them, and we're going to add some colors and drama into basic chord progressions. So let's first make sure everybody knows what the power chord is. Basically, it's a two-note chord consisting of the root and fifth. For example, a B power chord would consist of B and the fifth F sharp. Now you could expand and you can double the B, or you can put the fifth in the bass, which makes the chord sound even heavier, so the F sharp will be below the B. This is really effective. And one other type that's not really a typical power chord, but it's a progressive power chord. You take the root, the fifth, and you add the ninth on top. Sounds like this. To explore this topic a little bit further, you have to understand two things. First of all, which notes can be added to the power chords, and second of all, how those notes affect the name of the chord and also the function of the chord in the progression. First of all, we have the root and fifth, what you see as an example. If we add an E or a third to that, we have a C major chord. If we add an E flat to that, which is a minor third, we have a C minor chord. If we add a second or ninth to that, we have what's called a suspended second chord. In this case, it would be a D. If we add a fourth to that, we have what's called a suspended fourth. In this case, the fourth would be. All of those chords added one note to the power chord and drastically changed the sound. Now let's go through some chords that add two notes. If we add the major third and the major seventh, we have a major seventh chord. So you'd have the power chord, the major third E, and the major seventh B. If we add the minor third and a flat seventh, we have a minor seventh chord. In this case, it would be an E flat and a B flat added to the power chord. If we add a major third and a flat seven, we have what's called a dominant seventh chord. In this case, E is a major third, B flat is a flat seventh added to the power chord. And now there are a couple of chords which I call add nine chords. What they are major and minor chords. So we're going to have a major and minor third added, and on top of that, the ninth as well. A major add nine would add a major third E and a 9 D. A minor add nine would add the flat third, E flat, and the ninth, D. Now let's talk about how the 11th added to the power chord changes the name. We'll keep the major third, and we'll add an 11th, and we end up with a major add 11th. Here's the power chord, here's the major third, here's the 11th. Don't worry, we won't be playing these fingerings. And the final chord is a minor 11th chord, where we add three notes: the minor third, the flat seven, and also the 11th, which once again is F. And just to make this easier for now, we'll put the fifth in the bass. Now what this new information allows us to do is to take a simple chord progression that you wrote, maybe you have a great melody going, and develop the sound of the chords to add some spice. Let's say the chord progression we have is all power chords A, F to G. Very, very typical. By adding some of these intervals and creating these more interesting chords, perhaps we can make it sound a little bit more interesting, or we can take it in a more dramatic direction. So I'll turn the A into an A minor add 9. We'll turn the F into an F sus 2. And maybe the G into a G sus 2. So what started out as now it sounds like that's the basic picture. Now, unfortunately, when you're trying to play this stuff loud and heavy, it's going to sound pretty bad because of the dissonance of the intervals. I know you don't want to hear this, but I'll demonstrate. Some of them don't sound that bad, but once we start getting to 11ths and 7ths, believe me, it's horrible. People will cringe. So here's where orchestration comes into play. What we're going to do is we're going to divide the part up into two separate parts. And you can do this when you're recording, or you can do it in a band. If you have a bass and guitar, you could divide the parts up. Or if you have two guitar players or guitar and keyboards. The concept is one guy plays the power chord, or the root and the fifth, and the other guy plays the added tension. Sometimes it's either one note, sometimes it's two, sometimes it's three. So I have a couple of examples that demonstrate how, in our case, open strings added to power chords will create some interesting sounds. So let's go through the different chords we can create, and then we'll make a little song out of it. The first power chord was an A. We added a second to it, and it created an A suspended second. Second power chord was a B. We added a fourth to it, and we created a suspended fourth. The third power chord was a C. We added a major third and a major seven, and it turns into a C major seven. The next power chord was a C sharp. We added a B and an E and created a C sharp minor seventh. The next power chord was a D with the fifth in the bass. We added on a major third and an 11 and created a major add 11 chord. The next chord was a C. We added on a D and an E, and we created a major add 9. The next chord was an A. We added on a C and a B, which is a minor third and a ninth, and we created a minor add 9 chord. Next chord was a G. We added on an A, and we created another suspended second, G sus 2. And the chord after that had F sharp by itself in the bass, and we added on a D, an A, and an E. So what we have created is a major chord with an added ninth, but the third is in the bass. Next chord was an F sharp. We added on an A, a B, and an E, and we created an F sharp minor 11 chord. Chord after that was an F. We added on a G, and we created an F sus 2. After that we had an E, and first we made an E suspended fourth by adding on the fourth A, and then we made an E major by adding on the third G sharp. So we had the next chord was an F sharp. We added on an A sharp, a B, and an E, and we came up with an F sharp 7 add 11. The chord after that was an A. We added on a B and a C sharp to create a major add 9. And the second to last chord was a B, and we added on a D sharp and an E to create a major with an added 11th. And we end the whole thing up on a C sharp minor 7. Okay, so I'd like to demonstrate with the sequencer what this sounds like with the two parts divided up. So I'll play with a heavy sound, the power chords, and the sequencer will play the picking part that I demonstrated before. And instead of having an ugly mess trying to play it all together with distortion, we have a nice collaboration of the two parts. And this is great when you're recording because you can add a lot of fidelity. You can have a great heavy sound underneath, and then with an acoustic or a super clean guitar you can do the picking, or that could be piano, whatever. It adds a lot of dimension to your writing. So let's hear what that sounds like. As you can see, our power chord has come a pretty long way. We started with some really basic nonsense, and we came up with some pretty cool sounding chords. Now, granted, the progression that I created for that exercise really doesn't make too much sense. So let me show you a little song that incorporates a lot of those chords and is more like a piece of music. I mean, you can use it for background to a vocal part, or it could be backing up a solo or whatnot, but it uses basic power chords that I'll be playing, and the sequencer will be playing the second guitar part. And check it out. Now we've created a very vast and dense soundscape by using this technique. We're taking up a lot of space. So it's important that you really listen to what the other players in your band are doing. For instance, let's say this type of interaction that we just went through was going on between bass and keyboards. It might not be necessary for you to play a moving part along with that. You might want to choose a soaring melody or some lush chords in the background. The point I'm trying to make is that you should really listen for space when you're writing. Listen for register and listen to what the other people are playing. This way you contribute what's right for the song as opposed to just worrying about your own little part. Remember, the song comes first. Yes, it is. This is my full-blown live setup. And I guess we should start with the guitars. These are the guitars I have on the road. They're all custom Ibanez guitars made of basswood. And as you can see, the paint jobs on 4 of them are really similar. And these paint jobs are by Dan Lawrence, who does some custom work for Ibanez. And basically, I have 2 7-strings. This one is sort of a prototype. And this is the main one that I use. And 3 6-strings on the road. There's string gauge is 9 through 46, and the low B on this 7-string is a 56, and they're Diodario strings. And the pickups are DiMarzio. As you can see, each guitar is the same setup, just 2 humbuckers, and they're all direct mounted into the body. There's no middle pickup at all, and the knob placement is so that my hands don't sort of knock into anything. Like on a Strat, you might have a problem with your pinky or whatnot. And these pickups were custom designed by Steve Blucher for DiMarzio. And basically one of the interesting things about these, as you can see on all the other guitars, is there's one 3-way toggle switch. And the cool thing is that in the middle position, you have the center 2 coils on, but they're still hum canceling. Gives a really sweet sort of scooped sound for clean passages, particularly. And the frets are 6100, and it's a rosewood fretboard. This is my live setup. This rack was custom designed by Mark Snyder, and basically you got 4 Mesa Boogie cabinets. They're Celestion Vintage 30 speakers in those cabinets. And what's going on here is I have an amp switcher, and the amp switcher is switching between 3 different preamps, 2 triaxises and a Boogie Mark II-C Plus. Everything that's in the rack, like the Crybaby and the noise gate and the volume pedal and the parameter pedals, are all hooked up through this multi-pin system that goes to the pedal board, which I'll show you in a second, and it makes setup very easy. And also, the rack has a data dump. It's an Alesis data disk that allows me to save or reload any of my MIDI programs for the PCM 70 or the TC Electronics 2290 or even the Mesa Boogie Triaxis. So once again, on the road, it's really important to have backup and to make sure that nothing goes wrong. And it's also very well shielded. All the grounds are isolated from the chassis, so you have no buzzes. Or once again, it's really important from venue to venue with the different sort of RF and electricity that goes on in these stages. I use these picks. These are Jim Dunlap Jazz 3s for all the electric playing. And then for acoustic, I use these Dunlap 0.71 millimeter picks, which are a little bit lighter. And I play the acoustic. This is an Ibanez acoustic, and it's better for strumming and whatnot, the lighter picks. And the way it's set up over here on the stand enables me to go from electric to acoustic very quickly during the show. Just kind of come up to it and play a song. Okay, this is the pedal board that I use live, and this was custom designed by Mark Snyder. Once again, as you can see, here's the other end of the multi-pin that's coming in, and basically that has all your connections for the tuner and the Mesa Boogie Abacus pedal board, parameter.